It started with a cough. Not even loud. Short, dry, almost embarrassed. The kind that comes when you've held it too long and finally can't anymore. A girl in the line turned her head instinctively, clutching her small clutch bag tighter under one arm. The bouncer didn't glance at her. He was focused on the guy 3 spots ahead. Not even focused, just waiting. Wrist out, ID ready. The velvet rope squeaked where it dragged against the metal pole. "Next," said the bouncer, like an airport scanner with teeth. The line moved a step, then 2, then stopped. The girl in front had something wrong with her barcode. She laughed, too loudly, tried to joke. "That's me, I swear. Look, same earrings." The bouncer didn't smile. Behind her, a pair of girls were whispering. One had her phone down by her thigh, lens angled upward. Nothing was happening yet, just a crowd, just bored shoes and shuffles. And then someone said, "Wait." Not loud, but not quiet either, just enough to freeze the guy reaching for his wallet. The word hit like a sharp breeze through sweat. "Wait, is that?" It came from behind the divider, near the industrial air unit, where the last of the smokers huddled before re-entry. A camera flashed. No one smiled. The bouncer turned his head. He didn't move, just turned. The scanner beeped, another step forward, but it was already happening. The girl with the glitchy barcode was still talking. Something about the DMV. But no one was looking at her. The 2 whispering girls had stopped whispering. One was blinking fast. The other had pulled her phone up. "Don't," someone hissed. "It's not." But the screen was already lit. And on it, a blurry zoom, a frame caught between shoulders and smoke, but unmistakable. Sunglasses, chin tilted, the jacket. And then, a hand, slowly lowering an ID toward the bouncer's open palm. Not a club ID, a government one. The kind with real weight. "No fucking way," someone said, half laughing. "No." But the bouncer's hand froze midair. His eyes moved, and the rope didn't. Behind him, a man in a gray jacket, not part of the line, stepped closer, not fast, not slow. Manager, or something like that. "You need to come with me." Not a question, not a joke, just that. And the ID didn't make it to the scanner. It was still between fingers, still halfway. The air didn't move, the rope didn't squeak. The girl with the clutch bag had both hands on her phone now, but wasn't filming, just holding it, just in case. He didn't argue. That was the worst part. Not even a murmur of confusion. No quiet, "Sorry, what?" to deflect the spotlight. Just a barely perceptible nod and a step sideways toward the low concrete door marked "Staff Only." Like he'd rehearsed it, like he'd known. The manager didn't touch him, just walked half a step ahead, enough for everyone to see it wasn't casual. The rope didn't lift. The bouncer was still holding the ID, still not looking at it, still not scanning. The line had forgotten how to move. "I think that's V," someone whispered. Not in awe, like trying not to be overheard. "No, that's not him. V's taller. That is him. Look at the mouth. He wouldn't be here. He just got detained. That's not real. Why would he have that ID? And then, why would he show it?" The questions landed like slow-motion popcorn, stuttered and scattered. Too late to stop, but too early to be useful. A guy in a baseball cap was trying to Google photos. His signal cut in and out. "He had the scarf," one of the girls said. "Like at the airport." "No, that scarf was green." "That was green." "No, this was darker." "Okay, but..." She didn't finish. A different girl, not from their group, was zooming in on her lock screen photo, trying to match the jawline. "That's him." The certainty dropped like a plate. No one picked it up. And then someone tried to laugh. Not because it was funny, because it was too much. The sound cracked through the stillness and made 3 people turn, instantly ashamed of facing each other. One of them muttered, "Stop," but didn't move. Another opened notes and started typing. Not a post, just notes. The staff door closed quietly behind the 2 men. The bouncer exhaled once and turned to the next girl in line. "ID." She blinked. "What?" He didn't repeat, just held out his hand. She fumbled in her purse. Her hands were shaking. No one was looking at her. Everyone was trying not to look anywhere. The phone screens were dim now. Not off, just dim. Hovered at hip height, recording nothing and everything at once. No music played outside. There never had been. But it felt quieter now. Like the moment hadn't ended, just changed shape. The manager didn't speak until they were 2 doors in. past the kitchen corridor, and the soundproof bend where the hallway turned industrial. Still no contact, just motion. The kind that expects obedience without explanation. The kind that isn't new. V followed. No sunglasses now. He'd taken them off somewhere between the entrance and the red light over the boiler pipes. They were in his hand, folded, useless. "You shouldn't have come through the front," the manager said finally. Quiet, not hostile, but not soft. "I wasn't told not to," V replied. Same volume, same tone. The words didn't match the setting. They sounded like something out of a conference call. Polite tension, pre-collapse. They passed a bartender carrying a crate of empty glassware. She saw him, froze, kept walking. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. The clink of bottles drowned it. She didn't look back. V was led into a back lounge, the kind with couches that look clean only when the lights are low. One bulb flickered, not dramatically, just enough to remind you the ceiling was too close. There were 3 people already there, not dressed like staff, not dressed like guests. One was smoking, even though the sign said not to. Another was writing something in a black notebook without lines. No one stood up. "He needs to stay here until they decide," the manager said. "They'll come to you when it's cleared." Cleared, like a customs form. V didn't ask who they were. He just nodded again. Sat down, far end, near the broken fan, not in the center. The silence wasn't real, not the warm kind from movies, but the tense, hardware hum of a room built for waiting. The man with the notebook glanced up, then down. "You still have it?" he asked. Not curious, just checking. V tapped the side pocket of his coat, didn't pull it out. The manager left. The door didn't click. It just closed in a way that suggested no one would knock next time. Outside, in the front, the line had moved again. Barely, slowly, but moved. Like a crowd trying to forget its own pause. The girls were still whispering. One of them had messaged someone, but hadn't hit send. The message read, "You're not going to believe this." It stayed unsent. The bubble just hovered. No one said his name now. It wasn't denial. It was something worse. The moment where everyone knows, but saying it out loud would make them responsible. At 1:42, a girl inside the club tried to FaceTime her friend. Not out of excitement, out of something else. Her signal didn't hold. The call never connected, but the attempt left a trace. Enough for the phone to catch the audio lag. Crowd, music, something said in the background. And then a man's voice, clear and steady, saying, "He's in the back." The girl didn't replay it. She didn't need to. She already knew who they meant. 3 minutes earlier, someone from the bar staff had come out too fast with an order slip, saw the bouncer, asked something quietly, and got a look in response. Not an answer. A look, the kind that says, "Don't ask again." Word didn't spread like a scream. It spread like mold. Quiet. Ugly. Slow enough that nobody panicked. Fast enough that everyone started adjusting their posture. Girls pulled their hair forward. Guys checked their breath in their hands. 2 girls left the dance floor and walked toward the hallway. To use the restroom. But slowed down when they saw a man in a black shirt standing at the second bend. Not blocking, just being. That was enough. They turned around. One said, "We'll come back later," but didn't say from where. In the corner near the booth, a DJ was leaning closer to someone's ear. "That wasn't in the writer," he said. Not angry, just confused. She didn't respond, just stared at the wall. Behind the bar, the ice scoop hit the metal bin too loudly. A glass slipped, didn't break, but slipped, skidded, knocked a coaster off the edge. The bartender didn't react. She was staring at the back hallway. "Is he really here?" someone asked behind her. She said nothing. The track changed, not smoothly, abruptly, mid-phrase, a tempo shift that wasn't planned. 2 guys looked up from their drinks. "That's not." One started, then stopped. His friend was already looking at the hallway too. By the bathroom entrance, a girl was texting. She didn't blink, didn't dance. She'd written 5 sentences and deleted all of them. The message read, "I'm at the club. There's a situation." Then she deleted that too. The air wasn't heavy. It was embarrassed, like the whole building had realized it had shown up in the wrong outfit. No one talked directly. They looked. They nudged. They paused. Phones hovered, but most didn't record. Not yet. The implications were too big, too fragile. What if it wasn't him? What if it was? And this place, was real. Not a setup, not a prank. What if this was where he chose to be? That's when the denial cracked. Not by confrontation, by someone stumbling out of the hallway. A woman, staff, holding a walkie-talkie that wasn't on. Her face flushed. She looked at the crowd, realized where she was, and turned back too fast. Her shoe caught the mat. She tripped. The walkie hit the floor. A guy helped her up. "Are you okay?" She didn't answer, just kept walking. But now people were watching again. Not glancing, watching. And phones started to rise, still angled low, but not hidden anymore. Screens blinked open. Cameras framed nothing, just atmosphere, just proof of presence. And that's when someone said it, finally, out loud. No whisper, just loud enough to be public. "It's V. He's in the back. He showed the ID." The sound didn't echo. It just spread, like heat, like shame, like something that had been waiting to be spoken. The girl who said it didn't smile. Her voice didn't shake. She wasn't excited. She looked confused, or maybe disappointed, like she'd believed in something that now made her feel foolish. And now the others had permission. "That's what I thought." "I knew it. I saw him. Why would he come here?" "This place isn't this the place that..." "Didn't someone say it's..." The sentences didn't finish. They kept stalling out. No one wanted to be the first to name the place out loud. Not just the address, the reputation, the implication, that it wasn't a mistake, that this wasn't just passing through, that he didn't look confused, that he had waited in line, that he handed his ID himself, that he followed the manager without protest. The reality of it spread through the room like static in a phone call, crackling, fragmented, too disjointed to make sense, too loud to ignore. And then, without warning, someone pulled the fire alarm. The fire alarm didn't sound like it should have. It didn't blare or scream or flash red. It clicked. A mechanical choke, like an old intercom trying to come to life, and then giving up halfway. For a second, no one knew what it was. Just a click, then another. Then that low, guttural sound, long and confused, like the system itself wasn't sure it wanted to participate. And then the lights. Not red, yellow-white, hospital flicker, like overheads trying to turn on in a blackout. Someone laughed again. Nervous, too sharp. "It's fake," a voice said. Male, close, defensive. Someone's messing with it. But the damage was done. In the confusion of dim lights and sound distortion, bodies started to move. Not evacuating, adjusting. Some were pushing toward the exit. Some were pulling out phones. Some weren't moving at all, just staring at each other like they'd been caught in a lie. And then the hallway door opened. It didn't slam. It opened carefully, like someone expected cameras. There was no one visible at first, just the sliver of dark behind it. And then a hand, then the edge of a coat, and then him. 5. He didn't run. He didn't lower his head. He didn't look angry or scared or smug. He looked there, present, real, too real. The worst kind of real. A silence didn't fall. People just forgot to speak. That's when the flash went off. Then another, and then 5 more. The room blinked like a strobe. Someone shouted, "No flash," but too late. The light had already revealed too much. The ID was still in his hand, still visible. A laminate glint, a seal, an emblem that didn't belong here. The bouncer stepped forward, not to stop him, just instinct. The manager appeared from the back, not to help, just arrive. The crowd parted, not like a path being cleared, but like a wound opening. V stood still. The phone cameras didn't lower. They didn't rise either. They just hovered, uncertain whether this counted as recording something you're allowed to show. And then someone, a girl near the wall, maybe 18, said, not loudly, but clear, "This isn't where you're supposed to be." Her voice didn't shake. She wasn't crying. She didn't look scared. She looked hurt. Not personally, existentially, like seeing something that rewrites a rule you didn't know was fragile. V turned his head slightly, like he'd heard her, like he might answer. But he didn't. He stepped forward. One step, then another. Then straight through the corridor of phones and eyes and confusion. Past the booth, past the bar, past the girls who had whispered, who had Googled, who had deleted messages, and then rewritten them again and again. He didn't speak. He didn't try to explain. He didn't apologize. The door to the street opened with a gasp of cold air, and he was gone. Just like that. No van, no security detail, no blackout car, just a man stepping out into the dark. Behind him, the club stayed broken. Not on fire, not evacuated, just stuck. stuck in the moment between what everyone saw and what no one knew how to say. The music didn't come back. The lights didn't recover. The bouncer didn't move. The phones didn't stop recording, but they didn't post either. And then, as if by some invisible cue, the first caption appeared. A screenshot, grainy, from a story, then deleted. It read, "What was he doing there?" And below it, a comment. Not tagged, not verified. Just 3 words. No one blinked.